Welcome back to TinyGrams Games, and I'm here today with a how to play Star Wars Destiny, the new collectible card slash dice game by Fantasy Flight Games. It's not out yet, but it's not too early to learn how to play or to even play if you have Tabletop Simulator. So basically what you do here is you each have a deck, you get set up, the board's all set up for us. I'm not going to talk about deck building rules in this, we're going to use the starter decks. So the way the game begins is each of you are going to roll all of your dice to figure out who is going to be the person who's the first player and gets to choose the battleground. Now this is pretty important. Choosing the battleground means not just for one turn, but for the whole game this is going to choose the battleground. So you have this really interesting decision you can make as you're building your deck. Do you want to build or do you want to include a battleground that is going to be incredibly important, or do you just want to include a good battleground? So it looks like the light side has more numbers showing, so they get to choose which battleground it's going to be. And I'm actually going to choose the dark side battleground just because it's a little bit easier to work with. And what happens now is the light side battleground, this battleground, Salvage Yard, gone. We will never see it again. It is just gone from the game. I find that to be a very odd mechanism, but that's how it works, and apparently it refused to leave. Okay, so for the rest of the game, this will be the battleground that we will use. Alright, so since the light side got to choose, the dark side gets to have 2 free shields. Shields are basically damage prevention. They're going to put them on Kylo Ren because Kylo Ren was, well, awesome. Alright, now we're going to draw 5 cards, and from these 5 cards, we could take a mulligan, and choose any number of these cards to ship back. I'm actually not going to take a mulligan just because it is more time consuming than I want to have. Alright, our hands are dealt. No mulligans were taken. Let's get into the game. Now basically there are 2 fundamental rules that if you understand these rules, you will understand this game completely. Rule number 1 is I take an action, you take an action. We just trade off doing things. Rule 2, every single thing you do, that's an action. You want to roll some dice, that's an action. You want to play a card from your hand, that's an action. You would like to re-roll some dice, that's an action. Pretty much every single thing you do is going to be an action, and once you take an action, is your opponent's turn. One of the critical things about the game is you start out with 2 resources, and I'm going to talk about this in a minute, why this is so important. So the light side gets to go first. They chose the battleground. And one really important aspect of the game is when you roll the dice for a card, that's it. You don't have another opportunity to roll dice for that card. And what I mean is, if you look at somebody like Rey here, she can have up to 3 upgrades. And so I have a card in my hand called Jedi Robes, which I can put on a unit. And I'm going to choose to put this on Rey, but I need to put it on her before I roll Rey's dice for the turn. If I take an action to roll Rey's dice, after I put this robe on her, I cannot roll those dice for the turn because her dice have already been rolled on her. So a character and an upgrade all come together. So I'm going to go ahead and buy this card first so that when I do roll her dice, I get to roll this as well. So now we have Jedi Robes. I'm going to go in here and grab the die for it. And boom, now when we go to roll Rey, we're rolling 3 dice instead of 2. Jedi Robe is interesting. I also get a shield, or 2 shields, since it's the first play of the game, or first turn of the game, so I'll go ahead and take 2 shields for her. And now Rey has this really cool ability that I actually get to activate that says, after you play an upgrade on this character, take an additional action. So remember when I said, I take an action, you take an action, this is the exception to the rule. I actually get another action. And now, I don't really have any cards I want to play in hand. I do want to play BB-8, but as you notice, I don't have any resources to play BB-8. So I'm going to have to take some sort of action that I think might get me resources. And I think what I'm going to do is roll all 3 of Rey's dice. So notice I put this upgrade on her, and now when I roll her dice, I'm not just rolling her dice, I'm rolling all 3 dice. So here come her dice. We got a resource. We got another resource, and we have a 3rd resource. And so the way resolving dice works is when you choose to resolve a die, you're resolving all of the dice that do that particular action. So this symbol means resource. So if I decide to resolve this, I resolve all 3 of these resources. So one action will give me 3 resources, which is actually fantastic because this card is quite good and takes 3 resources. Alright, so the dark side is up. And the dark side, their choices are a little bit less clear. They have this TIE Fighter here, but it costs 3 resources, only starts with 2. They don't have any upgrades for Kylo Ren, so I think what they're going to do is go ahead and roll Kylo's dice and just see what they get. If they get a resource, they may play that TIE Fighter, and maybe they'll have a chance to go ahead and do some really vicious attacking. We'll have to see. Alright, so he rolled a shield and another shield. You could only have a maximum of 3 shields on a character, so it's not really that exciting for him to put like 2 shields on the Stormtrooper. So there's a really good chance we're going to go ahead and re-roll Kylo's dice there. Alright, so notice, Darkside took an action, Lightside's turn. Lightside's pretty excited about this. They're going to go ahead and actually roll Finn's dice, because if you notice, this card has to attach to a blue character anyway. So at this point, the light side would really like a 4th resource, so that I could also play BB-8 this turn. And boom! Got it! It's one of the interesting things about this game is you should not play for a particular side of the dice. You should try to play flexibly. But getting the resource there did work quite well. Alright, so the dark side's thinking we're probably already going to re-roll these dice. And the way a re-roll works is you discard 1 card in your hand to re-roll any number of dice. So if that's going to be the case, let's just go ahead and roll this one first. Actually, these characters are exhausted now, we call it. So there'll be some cards that will interact with that. So we need to go ahead and exhaust them. Alright, so this guy, we rolled a blaster damage. So, okay, that's fine. If you look at this card, 1 single blaster damage, probably the worst roll outside of the blank, so we'll probably just re-roll that for the dark side. Alright, Lightside's action though. Lightside says 1, 2, 3, 4 resources. Yeah, let's do that. Let's go ahead and resolve all of these dice. So we'll put them all back. You can put them wherever you want to designate that they're used. But they're all used, which means we don't get to roll them again this turn. We don't get to roll them till next turn. They're just gone. But guess what? We got 4 resources. We could use them now. We could roll them over. We're going to get 2 more at the start of our next turn. So we have 6 resources over the next 2 turns without rolling any more. So that's pretty fantastic. Darkside's action, looking around, saying, not that great. Cards in hand, they're okay. Nothing fantastic. A mill strategy works pretty well in the starter decks, but we're going to go ahead and discard this card anyway to go ahead and re-roll all of the dice. All the dice are getting re-rolled. Let's see what we can get this time. We got a resource. That's good. Ooh, spend a resource to get 2 damage. That's not bad. And the special. His special says, choose an opponent's character, look at a random card in that opponent's hand, and deal damage to that character equal to the cost of the card. That's terrifying. Look at this card that Lightside has. So Lightside sees this and says, well, that's incredibly dangerous. I have the 3 resources. I was thinking about buying this anyway. My very next action needs to be, let's buy this so we don't get wrecked by Kylo Ren's ability. So we'll go ahead and spend the 3 resources. Boom. 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 Go ahead and get the die for the card. And notice, remember I said once a card is exhausted, that's it. You can't roll the dice for that card anymore. So what that means is, since this is actually attached to Rey, we don't get its dice this turn. We'll get its dice next turn. Its die next turn, and that's fine. Back over to the dark side. The dark side is looking at Kylo Ren's ability and says, if I'm going to resolve this, it needs to be now. The longer I wait, the less likely it is I'm going to get something amazing. They just played a 3-cost card. Maybe, just maybe, they have another one. So they're going to resolve their special ability. Take a look randomly. I'm just going to move my mouse around without looking. Boom. Where did it stop? Way over there. Alright, BB-8 this time. So they look at the card. It costs 1. So 1 unblockable damage to whoever Kylo Ren wants. And he's going to put it on his dear friend Rey. I don't know. His sister? His cousin? I don't know. We don't know yet. Alright, so Rey takes the damage. But Rey has 2 shields. So she gives up a shield. Does not have to actually take the damage because she shields it. Aw, poor Kylo Ren. Maybe Kylo should have put it on Finn. Who knows? Alright, Lightside's turn. Lightside is out of dice to roll. It has 1 singular resource. It has cards it can play, though. It's going to go ahead and choose to play BB-8 because BB-8's great. It's going to get another die. So if you look at light side now, it looks to me like the light side is crushing the dark side simply in dice and resources. So next turn, Ray's rolling 4. We're going to have BB-8. We're going to have Finn. That's 6 dice to only 3 for the dark side. So if I was playing the dark side right now, I would be pretty dang worried, actually. So I think what the dark side is going to do here is go ahead and resolve its... they're going to go ahead and resolve Power of the Dark Side. This way they're still going to have a resource left, and they can re-roll a card if they want to. Re-roll a die for free with him. This is an interesting card that says, you know, re-roll a die, and if it's a blank, deal 2 unblockable damage to a character. So it's a really flexible card. I like that about the card a lot. Okay, light side, just about out of things to do. It's going to go ahead and re-roll BB-8's die. Might as well get it going. What do we get? Another resource. Man, light side just rocked the resources this turn. So Kylo Ren, we have a decision point here of, do we want to keep this die and spend the 1? Because if it has a yellow, it means you have to spend it to do that. I don't think so. I think the dark side really wants to get set up. It really likes this First Order TIE Fighter. So we're going to play this card. We're going to exhaust it to re-roll a die. It's going to re-roll Kylo Ren's die. Alright, so Kylo got pretty much a worse roll, but he didn't want to spend his resource anyway to do that. Alright, so light side says, our action will resolve BB-8's die, get a resource, and we are on our way. And we still have this. Whoever claims this gets to remove a character die. So dark side's going to get kind of wrecked here. It sees that. It's going to resolve this die to get 1 resource. Light side's turn. Could play some cards, and that would be fine, but we could save those cards. Whoever grabs this gets to go first next turn. We're going to go ahead and grab that as a light side. Trigger its ability, remove a character die. So Kylo Ren, bye die. You're going away, going back. Oh, that kind of hurts. Dark side's action. Now, by the way, light side gets no more actions. Once you claim this battleground thing, that's it. You're done. You're just sitting there. Can't play any of these cards, can't do anything else. But that's okay. They didn't have much to do anyway. So dark side's looking around. I have 1. Reroll all dice. No thanks. First Order TIE Fighter. Can't buy it. Take cover. Might as well. We're going to draw back up anyway. Let's go ahead and get rid of it. Put the shield this time on... Let's put it on the Stormtrooper. And that's it. The dark side has nothing else it wants to do. And so we're just going to go ahead and move on to the next turn. So the next turn begins by everyone unexhausting all of their stuff. All the dice go back to unused. 2 resources come out for each side. And the battleground goes back again to be claimed by whoever wants to claim it. The light side will be first because they claimed it last time. And now you have the chance to discard any number of cards you want and then draw back up. I think the dark side is pretty happy with its cards. So it's just going to draw 3 more. Hope for something great. Notice, no upgrades yet. That's kind of rough. The light side, however, is going to look at their cards and say, heroism is okay. I'm going to go ahead and chuck that, just to try to get something a little more interesting. I'm not entirely sure what that's going to be. Alright, so both sides have gotten their new hands. We're ready to roll. Looking at the dark side's hand, it has some interesting cards. It finally has an upgrade. This upgrade is kind of weird. I don't think it's that great. Deal 2 damage to each of an opponent's characters. Discard it from play. The sides on it are okay, but it has 2 blanks. So they're not all that excited. Light side has yet another upgrade. Close quarters is pretty interesting because in the starter deck it's really easy to mill, and it might end up using that. This is a really good ability. Draw attention. If one of your guys is about to die, you get to use it. And Awakening is a little bit less exciting. I'll probably end up tossing that for a reroll. Okay, so it is time for the light side to go first. Apparently its die was stuck under Ray. So Lightside gets to go first. Lightside's looking at this and saying, well, there's no more upgrades I want to give Ray. I could just buy this card right away, but you know what? Let's just go ahead and get this party started and roll 4 dice for Ray to know what our options are going to be for the rest of this turn. Alright, so here comes Ray's dice. Boom! All 4 now. That's such an amazing start. Okay, so we got all kinds of stuff. We got the special for this one. Remove a die to deal a character damage equal to the value showing on that die. Which means that this, we wouldn't have to even add it. We could just use that. So we could just do 2 damage, which, I don't know, to me that's not that exciting. I almost would rather do one of the other sides. But we also have a resource. We have a flip to any side, which could be interesting. So we could do some interesting things like try to mill their hand. Alright, but Darkside's going to look at their opportunities here and say, well, okay, it's not going great. Let's go ahead and buy another card. Let's buy the first High Order Fighter. We can remove shields maybe with it. At least it gives us another die. So the dark side is sort of back in it now. Here we go. First TIE Fighter. Boop. They're ready for action. Alright, so it's the light side's turn again. And I think the light side is just going to go ahead and attach this rifle to Finn. Before I roll Finn's dice, remember I need to put all the upgrades on it for the turn that I'm going to want to use. So here we go. Put these on it. And we have Finn with a weapon. Now this weapon's really cool because if Finn dies, it gets redeployed. So that's quite an interesting thing. So for free, it'll just move to Rey if she can survive. Okay. First Order TIE Fighter has a really cool thing. It can remove all shields from an opponent's character. So it's going to go ahead and roll its die. Let's see what we got. Ooh, it got its ability. So there's a good chance that Rey's shields are going away. So looking at Rey, this is where the game becomes a little more interesting for the light side. They're all set up pretty much. Now it's just, how are we going to kill these guys? And I didn't get the Stormtroopers die out today. Nope. Alright. The Stormtroopers die? His die. And the reason we can even include this in the deck, even though it's a villain card, is because of Finn's ability. You can include them in there. So we'll go ahead and roll both of Finn's dice. Remember, we roll all of the cards that die together. Boom, 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 boom. Off to the races we go. Wow. So remember the first turn, getting all those resources was amazing. Now, not so much. We've really done the resource game. So what we're probably going to do is discard a card to re-roll tons of these dice just to do piles and piles of damage this turn. Dark side, the decision point is, do they want to play the grenades? And if so, who do they want to play it on? Kylo Ren has so much health compared to the Stormtrooper that you probably want to play it on him. But if they're going to, they need the resources to do it. They don't have them. So I think they're just gonna roll Kylo Ren's dice and probably put the grenades on the Stormtrooper. If even 2 resources get rolled, which very well may not happen. Alright, a blank and a resource. Remember, the dark side does have this card that re-rolls dice, so having this 1 blank, it's not that terrible. We're going to go ahead and roll BB-8's dice before we re-roll anything, because remember, you can re-roll any dice you want. So let's make sure we see all of our information. A good thing, because it's a blank. Now, we would be kind of annoyed, but re-rolling a blank is really no big deal. Okay. Dark side is going to re-roll Kylo Ren's die with this card, which says exhaust it, re-roll any die. So if this die is a blank again, it does 2 damage. So that's fine. Or it just gets re-rolled and becomes amazing. So 2 damage. And remember, they have this First Order TIE Fighter that gets to pull off all shields. So they can pull off all the shields from Rey and then start swinging at her. So swinging for 2 is not going to be too shabby. Alright, so light side is up. Light side, of course, sees all this. We have this perfect information situation other than the cards in hand. And it's trying to figure out what to do here. And I think the answer is dump the resources, dump this special. I think they would rather have one of the other abilities. Actually, I can't remember what that signal is. Discard resources with disrupt. That could actually be really good. So they're going to go ahead and re-roll. They're going to discard this card, Awakening, which I don't think is that great. And they're going to re-roll pretty much every card, every die except this one, which is pretty good because it gets to turn to whatever side. All right, yeah. So boom, all the dice getting re-rolled, except that one, except the bonus die. So we're going to go for a big attack this turn. All right, see what we got. Blank. Blank. And +1 resource. So, really bad rolls for the light side. So bad, in fact, they'll probably once again take the ability to reroll. Alright, dark side is up. They're going to go ahead and trigger this special, to remove the shield from Ray. Maybe it's a little early in the turn, but they're clearly signifying with that they're going to be looking to trigger this very soon. They don't have a resource, though, so it's going to still be 2 turns away. So knowing it's 2 turns away, the light side doesn't have to play the give a character a shield just yet if it wants. I think they're gonna wait on that. All right, so I mean, I think you have to re-roll here. And discarding cards in hand, we're gonna pretend like that's not good, even though it's pretty good. In the starter, it's a little bit too easy to wreck your opponent's hand. And we're gonna go ahead and re-roll these 3 dice, and hopefully get more damage. And maybe kill the Stormtrooper this turn. Wow. Look at that. Remember when I said I didn't think Awakenings was good? Awakenings would have made it so that I could have used these. Instead, I have these 2 dice that I can't actually even use right now, which is a pretty serious problem. Alright, the other problem for the dark side, though, is they see that the light side can steal a resource. But there's not a lot it wants to do. It's going to go ahead and resolve this die, take a resource, and see what happens. Light side says, my action, yeah, I'll trigger my die that removes a resource, goes back to my card, bye-bye resource, thanks for playing. Which completely screws Kylo Ren here. He has this card that needs a resource to play. Rey is in pretty bad shape as well. But I think what Rey is probably going to do is go ahead and use this die to turn Rey's die to whatever side they want. That's what that ability means. So let's see. Rey wants the first side. It's a really boring side, but at least it does damage, and now she'll be able to do 3 damage. So the dark side is in quite a pickle here. What does it do? It has no resources. It could trigger this to take away Rey's die here so that it could not trigger the +2. The pluses can only trigger if the main one is there. So that would be a melee attack. It could trigger to take that away. It could also re-roll. Nope, doesn't have a resource. Can't play flank. Everyone's already exhausted anyway. We just didn't do that. Turn a die. Can't do that. The Stormtrooper die hasn't rolled yet, though. I don't think they want to end their turn before Stormtrooper goes. So Stormtrooper die goes, and it's a damage. Not too exciting, but it's something. Alright, so Rey is going to go ahead and resolve her dice before something happens. She's going to do 3 damage to Kylo Ren's face, and Kylo Ren will prevent 2. Actually, no, she's going to do them to the Stormtrooper, who only has 1 shield, to try to kill the Stormtrooper first so that they can just focus down Kylo Ren. Alright, so that's 2 damage to the Stormtrooper. Moving on, Darkseid's turn. Darkseid says, yeah, this didn't go that well. Okay, I guess I'll shoot Rey. Boop. Rey takes the damage because we resolve all of the shooting dice for the dark side. It's only 1. Damage gets resolved in 2 different ways. You resolve all of the die of 1 type, but melee and shooting are different. So now we're going to go ahead and resolve these dice. They look pretty amazing. 3 shooting, sure. 3 ranged, however we want to call that. So 3 range damage goes on to the Stormtrooper. That is 5 damage on him. He only has 7 health. This dude is almost dead. Darkseid is kind of panicking at this point. Lightside has some interesting options here, where they can shield up Rey. They can pull a card from the Darkseid's hand. Darkseid is in such dire, terrible position. It's actually going to re-roll this card, this die, because they're so screwed. And they're going to use this card to do it. Alright. So remember, you can discard a card to reroll any number of dice. They only have one die, but still. Alright, they got a damage. Woo! Lightside says, let's go ahead and resolve this to put a shield down. We see there's a damage. Let's put the shield on Ray. Kylo Ren says, it feels like my only chance here is to kill Ray somehow. I'll do a damage to Ray by resolving all of the melee dice that are out there. Ray says, I have a shield. I'll block that. Moving on. Alright. Lightside's turn. Lightside has only really a couple things left. It could move some damage. That's not that great. Make a shield. Or pull a card at random from its opponent's hand. That seems like the best play to make here. So we're going to randomly choose one of these three. Boom. That card. Oh, Darkside's sad. That card could have been good. Okay. Darkside's turn. This has already been resolved. Picking the battleground doesn't do too much, but they have nothing else to do. So they'll take the battleground. They'll get to go first next time. Lightside's turn. Lightside will say, I'll play this card to get a shield. Sure, why not? I'll put it on Ray. Darkside has to pass because they took the battleground. Lightside has no more dice, no more cards it wants to play. It says, I will pass as well. Let's move on to the next turn. Next turn begins, battleground goes back. All cards refresh. Foolishly didn't do that properly. Get the chance to discard and draw back up. Lightside will choose to keep this card in case something terrible happens. Darkside, oh boy. They're going first. It seems unlikely that they'll be able to flank somebody. They don't have any resources. But flank could be really good. I think they're going to get rid of aim. Keep flank. And then both sides will draw up. Alright, the hands are dealt. We have our new hands. Darkside got a really interesting card in Mind Probe. Deal an opponent's character 1 damage for each card in that character's hand. That could be a pretty phenomenal card if you can do it early in the turn. It costs 4 though. I don't know if they'll be able to do that. Immobilize, another upgrade for Kylo Ren. Remove this die to turn a die to a side showing a blank. That can be really good. Essentially, you are trading this die for your opponent's die. Deal one of your red characters 3 damage. Remove up to 2 opponent's dice. That sounds good, but it would actually kill the Stormtrooper. We got a lightsaber, and we still have flank. So basically what happened this game is now the dark side is drawing all its upgrades, but they're so far behind. I'm assuming that this is not going to be enough. Light side gets another upgrade. Remember, the way these weapons work, you can actually deploy them on anyone you want. So Finn can have this lightsaber, even though he's not blue. It's more of a deck building restriction, and certain cards do say you can only have this. So it's very interesting that Lightside can actually continue to to put stuff on their guys if they want. So the dark side took the battleground. They're going to go first. We each get 2 resources to start the turn. I think Darkside is going to try to put out some of its upgrades to try to have some big smashing thing happen. I don't know that that's going to happen. So they're going to spend both resources to play Immobilize. This is an upgrade, right? Yes. So they'll play it. It says blue character only, so that one has to go on Kylo Ren, which is where they would want to put it anyway because that Stormtrooper is looking bad. So Lightside is going to go ahead and finish upgrading Rey. You can only have 3 upgrades, so you might as well do her first and then roll. And that lightsaber looks pretty promising on Rey, being a good melee ability. And it also says deal 2 unblockable damage if you can get the special. So that would just kill the Stormtrooper outright. It costs exactly 3. Go ahead and buy it. Now Rey gets so many dice. It is ridiculous. Rey is just locked and loaded, ready for battle. Rey's die. Boop. And it is time for the dark side. It's their action. Dark side, way worse shape. Way worse shape. I forgot to take our die for Immobilize. Let's put it on there. Dark side just has to roll Kylo Ren's dice and hope. I don't think it's going to get Mind Probe off this turn. The lightsaber has redeploy, so they could always stick it on the Stormtrooper, and then when he dies, it'll go back to Kylo Ren. So probably that's what's going to happen if the dark side happens to roll a bunch of resources here. Whew! The shields actually could be really good. It could save this Stormtrooper, so probably they're going to end up using him. But it's the light side's turn. Rey is going to roll just a pile of dice. Look at this. This is totally ridiculous. Poor dark side. Rey loaded up. Boosh! All of the dice. One ranged, one flip to any side. +2, +1, blank. Jeez, those are terrible dice rolls. It's okay. We're going to have to discard a card. That's clear. Alright, Darkseid says, well, you don't have a way to kill the Stormtrooper yet. So I don't have to do these shields if I don't want. I think what I'll do instead is exhaust this card. Remember the one that lets them reroll. Reroll Kylo Ren's die and see what we get. A resource! Oh, Darkseid likes resources right now. Okay, Lightside's turn. Don't really want to reroll yet, right? Remember, we can reroll all the dice at once if we want. So let's go ahead and throw out this die. The reason I'm choosing this die is because we kind of want to put this upgrade on Finn before I roll his dice. Might not have that option, but if we do, like which we could with the +1 and the 1, when we resolve those resources, that would be 2, which would let us play Rey's staff. So most likely, that's what's going to end up happening. All right, back over to the dark side. Dark side really in shambles here. Gonna roll its upgrade that can't have any more things on it, or its support that can't have any upgrades on it. For 1, shoot for 3. Whew, that's promising. That's actually kind of terrifying for the old light side. That's a really good one. That's a really good one. It's kind of tempting to resolve this die to spin that to a blank. Because the light side is crushing so hard, I think it's going to do that. So I'm going to use this, take this die that was amazing, and say, that's a little scary for Rey. She doesn't want to take that much damage. We're going to go ahead and set it to side 6, which is the blank. Oh, that one's kind of gut-wrenching. Darkseid says that's okay. We'll end up re-rolling that anyway, I'm sure. So the Darkseid will... I think it's going to resolve the shields. Enough messing around. Let's keep the Stormtrooper alive another turn. To be honest, shields is probably not going to win the game. It feels like a try not to lose the game kind of play, but that's where the dark side's at right now. They're in a world of hurt. Okay, light side says, let's go ahead and resolve these dice to get us 2 more resources. That sounds fantastic. And now they can use those 2 resources to be able to buy this staff next turn. Oh my goodness, you know what? Twice I failed to trigger Rey's ability earlier. Oh, misplays. Misplays in the tutorial. Alright. Darkseid struggling. It does not look like this lightsaber's coming out this turn. They will go ahead and roll the Stormtrooper's die so that when they discard to re-roll dice, they can re-roll that one if it's bad as well. Ooh, it is not bad. That was a fantastic roll. Okay. Light side. Light side is going to buy this staff, as was the plan with the 2, to make Finn a beast as well. So they now have 2 characters in full beast mode. How does one beat that? I don't know. That is a real question. I think about the only hope is for the light side to run out of cards. Alright, Darkseid's turn. Darkseid is going to get a resource to be able to play that card, to be able to shoot for 2. Kind of a desperate play, but they're in a desperate spot. Could have flanked before, actually. No, we didn't have a resource. So everyone is exhausted over on the dark side. Finn has not gone yet. Finn's going to roll now. He has 3 dice available to him, so why not? Let's get all the dice rolled. 6 dice sitting out there for the light side. A melee attack, a resource, another shot. Oh my. So with this +2, because there is a melee attack, that can resolve for 3. And Finn probably is going to want to re-roll. Maybe he doesn't need to, because if he takes the resource, he can actually shoot for 3 also. Which means we're just going to want to re-roll that. That's pretty impressive. So Darkside's turn. Darkside, really, really unhappy right now. It's going to go ahead and re-roll this card with, I think, the Mind Probe. The Mind Probe's great, but we're getting near the end game, and they're not going to get 4 resources for that. So they rolled a special, which is kind of cool. Pull off Ray's 1 shield and then shoot her for 2. That's not the worst. It's not going to win the game, but it's not the worst. Alright. So Lightside is up. It's going to resolve its... it's just going to go ahead and kill the Stormtrooper. No, actually that won't kill the Stormtrooper. Stormtrooper has 5. It has 2 shields, so it needs 4 damage. So it needs 1 more melee. So I think what Lightside is going to do is going to go ahead and re-roll... re-roll this die. So go ahead and we're going to do Flank to do it, which may be a bad idea. Flank's not a bad card. Re-roll the die. Oh my goodness. 2 plus 2s. So it's actually swinging for 5. 5 damage here. That's pretty astounding. They know the Stormtrooper is dead. He's going to die this turn with the 5 to him, so go ahead and resolve the Stormtrooper's die before he dies. Do 2 damage. Do 2 damage to Ray. They would have liked to pull the shield off first, but that opportunity left. And this is a drubbing. Oh, no. Lightside's up. Lightside says, yep. We're going to go ahead and roll off or resolve our 5 points of damage for our melee. So it's 1, and then we get to resolve the 2 plus 2s because there's 1 out there. So that's 5 damage. So if we look at the Stormtrooper, that is 3, 4. So he would take 3 more. That would take him to 8. He only has 7 health. He's dead. When they're dead, they go away. Their dice go with them. He didn't have a weapon on to redeploy to Kylo Ren. It is now Kylo Ren by himself. Terrified. And this die doesn't do anything. So it's either discard to do something about it, or what might be better is looking at the light side. You can see the light side has no resources. It has no way to trigger this without a resource. So the dark side decides to be clever, take the battleground, trigger it, remove a character die, and remove the resource die. So now the light side is going, oh, well, I can't trigger that anymore. I could trigger this for 1. You have 2 shields, though. That's not that amazing. Maybe I just discard. So it's going to discard this card to re-roll. This die that was once awesome is suddenly pretty garbage. Rolls to the same garbage side. Dark side has passed its turn by taking Battleground. Light side's turn again. It's just going to go ahead and resolve this die. And do 1 damage to Kylo Ren, who has a shield that goes away. Boop. And that's it. They're not going to be able to resolve this die. So that didn't end up working out as well as it could have for the light side, but look at this. It's still a drubbing, right? Like, this is not going well. It's Kylo Ren against 2 guys, just kitted out. End of turn. Everyone's going to go ahead and unexhaust. Okay, we're going to go ahead and drop our hand now. Light side is going to keep this card in case Rey gets in trouble. She can move 2 damage over. Kylo Ren. Oh my. This goes away. He doesn't have any more red characters left. Flank is going away because, well, he's not going to outflank anyone. He only has 1 guy. So then we're going to draw up. Alright, we have our new hands. Let's look at the dark side first to see if they have any chance here. Remove all of an opponent's dice showing range damage. That could be really great. They have another Power of the Dark Side, which isn't going to be that helpful. They have an Intimidate to remove all shields. So, I'm not sure there's anything life-saving here. Enrage could be good if they get stuck where they need a resource. Remember, each side gets 2 resources at the start of the turn. Let's go ahead and do that. And the dark side gets to go first. It took the battleground again. So dark side is up. Not a lot of options, right? It's just just the support and Kylo Ren. So it's going to go ahead and roll Kylo Ren's dice. We have the 2 damage to take away blast. I mean, the 2 resources to take away all blast dice, which could be really good, depending on what happens. Let's roll these dice and see what we get. Whoa, 2 damage, a blank, and a damage. That's not bad. That's 3 damage that they can just do right off the top to Rey next turn. I think that's probably what's going to happen. The light sides cards. Wow, spot a blue character to turn a die to any side. That's really good. If Rey was worried, she would go ahead and turn that, but she's not. Reroll any number of an opponent's dice, then remove all of their dice showing blanks. You know what? That seems like a great first play here. So they're going to try for the blowout play. Reroll all of the dark side's dice. The dark side was very happy with their dice. Kylo Ren, that is. So we're going to reroll all of these dice. And if any of them are blanks, bye-bye. No blanks. Oh. It's not terrible. It didn't work out amazing. Alright, so light side is up. Light side says no resources. Really everything needs resources at this point. Let's just go ahead and roll this just massive pile of dice that we call Rey's dice. Look at this. That is a massive pile of dice right here. Oh my goodness. Alright, here we go. Rolling the pile. Hoping to just be able to kill Kylo Ren this turn. Blank. That's not good. Remove a card. Resource. More resources. More resources. Wow, that was a terrible roll. Alright, dark side says, yeah, about darn time that happened. Gonna go ahead and do Power of the Dark Side on... No, they're gonna roll their die first. Let's get all the dice out there. And it's a blank. Whew, that's kind of rough. Okay, light side's up. Light side says, well, we want to re-roll all these, but let's get more dice out there before we start re-rolling, right? If we can re-roll all of our dice, or any number of dice that we want, let's go ahead and get some more out there. So you're going to put Huckleberry Finn's dice out there. Here we go. Hoping for something good. Blank. 2 damage, that works. And a melee, that's not bad. Especially since it's really what it would want, pretty much. We want aggression. The 3 would be fine, but that's only one side. So it's not, that one's not terrible. Dark side, looking at their options again. They can't trigger that without a resource, but they do have one. So before this gets rolled off, dark side's going to go ahead and spend it. Do 2 damage to Rey. Feeling pretty good about that. The thought is something like, if we can kill Rey, maybe, just maybe, we can come back. Light side's not worried. They have draw attention. Lots of things to stymie the dark side, so they're not too worried. Okay. What did Finn have again? That and a blank. So I think light side is going to roll BB-8 and then have a massive reroll. BB-8 gets a shield. That's actually going to be quite good on Rey. Alright, I think it's time to do... This guy's gone. He's gone. I think it's time to do this card. Power of the Dark Side. Reroll this card. There's a lot of chances for blanks, so that works out pretty well. Got to remove a shield. So that puts a bit of a crimp into what light side was thinking with resolving this BB-8, knowing that all shields are going to be removed and the dark side can just kind of wait on that to happen. That die looks a lot worse. So I think the light side is going to do a massive reroll. So it's got a blank. Reroll that. It's got this remove a card from hand. It's going to reroll that as well because it's going for the kill. 1 resource is fine, but we don't want these add a resource if you had a resource ones. We're going to reroll off that shield because like we talked about, we're going to reroll this terrible blank. And what are we going to discard to do it? Not that one. Not that one. That one. Awakening. Gone. Here we go. Now that's a reroll. Hoping for some major damage to just kill Kylo Ren. Special. Oh, that's some pretty spicy damage. And to turn to whatever side. Oh my goodness. Kylo Ren is worried. Reroll this die and one of your other dice. That's cool. So it's Darkseid's turn. And I think Darkseid needs to do this one. Remove this die to turn a side to a blank. There's just too much damage here. I think it's going to roll that one to a blank. Alright, so it has to take its die away, which wasn't anything too impressive anyway. To reroll this to a blank. So, sorry Finn, blank. The reason we chose that one is because this one, a resource needs to be spent to even be able to do it. And Lightside doesn't have one yet. Alright, so Lightside's looking. Does it even have a way to get a resource? It has bonus resources, but no... Oh, it does have a resource. So we're going to take his ability here and re-roll these two. I got turned to a blank, but you know what? It doesn't mean it's permanent. Alright, re-roll. A shield and a resource. Not great, but that's fine. Darkseid. Just wrecked. Completely desperate here. Not having any idea what to do. I think it's going to resolve this resource to be able to play that card that removes range dice. So the problem is, Lightside is going to be a little slow on this. So Lightside is going to go ahead and get some resources here to be able to resolve that die, and maybe be able to do some other stuff as well. So it's going to do his die, and we're going to do this one to get 2 resources. So that next turn it can start doing some major damage. But Kylo Ren finally has a play. Finally! Kylo Ren has a play. Dodge. Remove all of an opponent's dice showing range damage. Womp, womp, womp. So that's all the ones with guns on it. That's a lot of damage that Lightside is losing here. So this die, gone. That die, gone. Okay, it's not as bad as we thought it was going to be, but still, it's quite a bit. Alright, Lightside's turn. Darkside's almost out of plays here. And they may just take the battleground next turn. Anyway, so Lightside will go ahead and re-roll these 3 dice to try to get damage by getting rid of this one. Yeah, that might be a bad play. I'm not sure. We'll end up seeing what happens. All right, blank, +2 melee, 2 shooting. So that's pretty good. Darkseid is in big trouble. Darkseid's going to go ahead, take the battleground. Their turn's over, but they get to remove a die. They're going to remove... I mean, they're all good, right? So they'll remove this one. And it's not going to be enough. Now they don't get any moves. Lightside will resolve this die to turn a die. They'll go ahead and turn her die to be +2 melee. What was it? Side 2, I think? Yep. Darkseid again has to pass. They pass for the whole turn. She'll resolve her dice to do 3 damage to Kylo Ren. He has a shield, so he only has to take 2. 1, 2. Lightside has 2 damage that I can do. It'll go ahead and resolve that. 2 more damage to Kylo Ren, and I think we can see from here that it's going to be pretty darn ugly the rest of the way. The decks are 4 cards to 3 cards, so there's some sort of out that the Darkseid might have of milling your opponent. If you can run their deck out and then run their hand out, you will win the game. So that's really all that the Darkseid has left that it's hoping for is maybe, just maybe, in some fantasy world, I can mill you. Alright, so both sides get two resources. The real question comes down to card draw. Light side definitely not discarding any. They're going to be drawing the rest of their deck here. Dark side has several cards they could discard. And I guess they're going to go ahead and get rid of the second copy of Power of the Dark Side. Actually, they're not going to, because they can maybe get some unblockable damage that way and kill their opponent. So they'll keep that. Okay, go ahead and draw up. Okay, our new hands are drawn. Let's look at the dark side first. Nowhere to run. That's interesting. I don't think it's going to be life-saving. And then the light side picked up block to make it even harder for the dark side to do any damage. Re-roll a die. Ouchies. Remove all dice showing that, which is going to be discarded. Yeah, so things are looking bad for the dark side. So dark side gets to go first again because it keeps grabbing that battleground because it's in such desperate straits that it doesn't have many options. It's going to go ahead and roll Kylo Ren's dice. See what we get. Most likely they're going to be re-rolled several times with this card right here, the Power of the Dark Side. So 2 shields, that could be great actually, and some melee and his special. So light side quickly takes a glance at their hand and says, "Geez, that's a chance for 2 damage to come off the top. Do I want to do something about that? I could make them re-roll a die, but I think what the light side wants to do is just take away that die that's showing melee damage. Let's go ahead and, since the light side has such a huge lead, might as well take away their opponent's resources, and these dice are definitely resources. So boom, that's gone. That's a sad moment for the dark side for sure. Dark side's action: roll the ship's die. Okay. Remove a resource, which kind of blah at this stage of the game. It's unlikely that that one resource would be everything, but it's very likely that it could be rolled to well, not very likely, but it's a possibility that it could be rolled to the blank side. Okay, so it's light side's turn. Light side says, okay, the dice look fine. We'll go. We only have one card that would be really problematic. Wouldn't be that problematic. Let's roll our big Ray pile. The Ray dice pile. It is on. We seem to be missing one. Where is it over here? 5 dice. Every time you can roll 5 dice on one character. That's a nice feeling. Ray's dice come out. Oh my. That's a problem. That's 3 damage to Kylo Ren. Kylo Ren has 4 on him currently. So Kylo Ren's going to go ahead and resolve this plus 2 shields. He's in a tough spot. Yeah, plus 2 shields it is. Again, I don't think just shielding up is going to save him, but we'll see. Alright, go ahead and shoot or roll with Finn. Okay, not moving his whole card out there. Just the dice. Alright, let's see what we get with Finn. A lot of damage, and that would pretty much ice it. Oh, jeez. Plus 2. But we have lots of reroll stuff, so we can turn a die to a side. We can reroll some stuff. We can reroll with that. It's kind of problematic. So, dark side's in terrible spot. They're going to go ahead and trigger this card to reroll this die, which is fairly inconsequential at this point. Same side comes up. That's a sad moment for the dark side. Light side's turn. I think there's going to be a mass reroll coming for the light side, so they'll go ahead and roll BB-8's die. Just get all the dice out there. Oh, that's a nice one. Turn to any side. Jeez, there's so much turning happening. Dark side is in big trouble. Dark side is going to go ahead and resolve Kylo Ren's die to look at the hand. Boom. Oh, they did pick a good one. 2 unblockable damage to Rey. So this is a little bit scary now. Rey's at 6 of her 10 damage. So Rey is going to go ahead and, or the light side is going to go ahead and play this card. Move 2 damage to another character. It's not that scary. Rey's probably not going to die, but you know what? There's no way Rey dies now. Darkseid's turn. It's going to play with its 2 resources. This card right here. Power of the Darkside. I mean, it's a lost cause at this point. Turning stuff to blanks isn't going to do anything. Lightside's turn. I think the mass reroll is coming here. So we're going to save that. That's going away. That's going away. We're going to save that one. We're basically saving all the damage. Everything else goes away. So we have a lot of damage right now. Going away. Going away. We'll save the turn to any side. That was awesome. Alright, here we go. The big reroll. I have to discard a card to do it. I'll decide that in a moment. It's going to be this one right here. Should have done that first, of course. I just got a little carried away. That was a really terrible roll. Like, that roll couldn't have been worse. I mean, couldn't have been worse. The Darkside will go ahead and resolve this. Reroll this die. It's hoping for the blank. Huh, that's reasonable as well. Lightside says, well, I mean, could reroll 1 die or reroll all our dice. The problem is there's no more cards in hand. And that's kind of terrifying. I think the Lightside needs to actually save its cards so that Darkside doesn't have some sort of surprise discard cards. So because of that, I think all they're going to do is do something like... Boy, this is kind of bad. So we're going to resolve his die to turn Ray's die to a side. We'll put Ray's die on just the 1. Just the 1 damage. And the reason is because they can do their battleground and pull away the 1 basic one so the pluses wouldn't count. And that's going to be really bad. And that's probably what the Darkside's going to end up doing. In fact, they're going to... No, they have to shoot, right? They can't not shoot and then die. Alright, so 2 damage goes to Ray. She is back up to quite a bit. She's up to 6. Only 2 cards in hand. Things are maybe a little scarier for our Rebellion than they were a moment ago. Darkside still has 3 more cards. So they can fill their hand again and maybe make this thing interesting. So Ray, knowing that Darkside is probably just going to resolve its dice, or resolve the battleground, is just going to go ahead and resolve all these melee. So it's 1, 3, 4. All the melee dice get resolved. They go back. And that's pretty brutal. That's 2 shields gone. We'll put a 3 out there and pull one of these 1s off. So he is at 3-6. His max is 11. 5 more damage and he's done. Darkside again, just in a terrible spot. It's going to take the battleground, remove a die. Which die is it going to remove? That's the question. It's going to remove... Has to be a character die, not an upgrade. So it pretty much needs to be Finn's die. Which is pretty darn strong, because now there's not a lot Lightside can do with the dice it has. It can gain some resources, which is pretty blah. It could try for a mass reroll just to win the game, which I think is probably what it's going to do. But it can't win here. It's a little bit dicey. How about we turn a die to a side? That seems like the right answer. Turn that die to the shooting side. So we'll do that. 1 resource. Turn this die to the side that shoots, which allows us then to go ahead and activate this die, which we wouldn't have been able to otherwise because it's just a plus. Darkside passed all its actions by taking the battleground. Lightside will resolve its range dice to do 3 more damage to Kylo Ren. Kylo Ren down to 2 health. Lightside could go for it. 2 damage, huh? 2 damage. Can it even get 2 damage? Not really. Not really. So, Lightside, I think, is just going to take its 2 resources, call it a day, and just hope that the Darkside doesn't have some amazing trick to be able to go ahead and remove this last card and win the game via milling. Wouldn't that be a kick in the teeth? Like, Lightside has been crushing the whole game and still could lose to the mill. Alright, Battleground comes back. Both sides get 2 more resources, which is just a pile now for the light side, but they have no cards left, so it's not going to be that useful. Dark side has 2 and lots of cards. Light side, not going to discard. There's no cards to draw up. Dark side does have an option. They know this is the last turn, right? It's pretty obvious. This is the last turn of the game. What does the dark side have? Nothing right now that could win the game, right? They basically need to mill their opponent out. So they need to draw all 4 of these cards to see if one of them is useful. Actually, I think they probably want that one. They're going to get rid of all the other cards. It's a desperation play here. Turn each side of your dice showing a blank to any side. Okay, whatever, they'll keep that. Actually, they're going to keep the lightsaber because maybe they'll roll a resource right off. And they can use that to get a resource, but it's not worth it. Alright, here we go. We're going to toss all these. Keep the lightsaber. Oh. Never mind. Never mind. They have only 3 on their deck. So they'll keep that one. And I put in the discard pile. I put them in the wrong pile. Whatever. Alright, here we go. 1, 2, 3. Did they get some sort of mill card? Did they get a mill card? Weapon. No. Block. No. Use the force. No. The dark side dies. We're not going to play it out from here. It's very clear that the light side is going to roll up some damage and win the game. Alright, so that is how Star Wars Destiny is played. Hopefully you were able to tell from this how it works. It's a really fun, action-packed back and forth. It's really my favorite part of the game, that when you're playing, you're really never just sitting there. The other thing I really like about the game is how flexible it is, that you can pretty much do something with your dice always. Maybe it wasn't your absolute ideal roll, but you know what? Even if you got your ideal roll, there's a good chance that we're just going to make you re-roll it anyway. The dice are always rolling. There's always something happening. Plan for the future. Plan for flexibility, and get out your upgrades and your supports. I mean, this was just ridiculous. I knew from about turn 1, light side was going to crush their way to victory, as they had piles of dice and the dark side had a very small, paltry amount of dice. Alright, so I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time on Tiny Grimes Games.